Golfers don't practice. Now, this is something I keep hearing in the world of golf technology, and having been a player, a coach for over 10 years in the world of high performance, and then building a high performance piece of technology called CoachNow, where we worked with 80 different sports, 140 different countries, a huge following in golf. I can tell you that golfers actually do practice, but they practice like shit, which I think is what most people are trying to say. The reality is, if you go to any driving range here in Los Angeles, you are going to see a range just absolutely packed with folks out there just whacking balls and generally getting worse for every ball that they hit. The reason being is that none of them are using feedback. They don't put their phone behind them, no training aids. They don't even pick a target half the time. So I think it is fair to say that golfers do practice, but they practice terribly. So if you're building in the world of golf performance tech, this is a challenge that you must overcome. After exiting my company that I sold a couple different times, I've now been mentoring founders and founding teams in the world of golf tech. So here's 3 things I want to help you understand if you're jumping into this venture or if you're already there and you're having a difficult time. 1, and this might be too late for you, but you need to insert yourself into an existing broken workflow. This was the secret of CoachNow. We weren't trying to create something super cool. We were trying to solve a very real problem. I was a coach. I was coaching 40 plus hours a week and then emailing, texting, and using a bunch of other tools, another 30 or 40 hours a week to create a learning environment that actually would work and to stay in touch with all of my students. I was absolutely burning out. I was not alone. Coaches across the world were facing the same problems. They were trying to communicate, but it was highly ineffective. So by creating a platform that they knew they needed, they just didn't know how to create it, we were able to create something that affected their time so they could save time and they could make more money, and it improved their workflow and it helped their athletes get better faster. All of these things were a no-brainer for a coach to adopt and, more importantly, stick with it. If you're somebody that's creating cool moments but not real utility, churn is going to be the hardest thing that you face every day because you've created something that isn't mandatory, it's just cool. Number 2 is thought leadership and education. You cannot rely on somebody just logging in to get the value of what your application provides. If you're doing that, and again, you've created something cool that doesn't require a login all the time, you need to pull people back in. Thought leadership is the most obvious and best way to do that. Often it's going to start with the founding team. Hopefully your team has the credibility in the space so that you're not having to rent it from advisors. But no matter what you do, you need to be emailing, social media, push notifications, YouTube, any which way you can, podcast, whatever you can do to create thought leadership and external value to the application so that when somebody thinks about developing their skill in a particular way, your application is going to be top of mind and you're not relying on them just to log in. Because if you're doing that, like I said, you're generally going to have them churn because you're not providing enough kind of holistic value all of the time. And number 3, simplify your application. Now, this is coming from somebody that built a very robust app, and I can tell you, boy, if I could do it again, I would cut out a bunch of different features because ultimately I was building things that a subset of our audience wanted. I actually listened to our audience too much and built things that weren't applicable to everyone. We all make mistakes. What I'm pleading to you now is if you have an application, please make sure that each and every feature is extremely well thought out, demanded, and that you're tracking the actual usage of it. The companies I've looked at recently that are having big churn problems, they have way too many features, especially on the home screen. Their navigation is overly complicated and doesn't get me to the result in which I hired you for. So I want you to think about this. Anytime somebody downloads an app, especially in the performance space, not Candy Crush or something, they are looking for a result. They are hiring you for that result. So if you're putting a bunch of stuff on the homepage the moment they log in that doesn't get them to that result as fast as possible, you are going to lose them because a distracted mind is just going to jump out and never log in again. I cannot harp on this enough. Simplify your feature set. If you've got one thing that's really working, make that the thing that you do better than anybody else. You don't have to be a mega app that does everything. You really, really don't. Now, with that said, the bonus tip here is you actually don't even need to build an app. You don't need to build a performance brand. You can build a feature or a feature set that you can license to other platforms. Today, I think this might be the secret gold rush within the world of golf technology because distribution is number one. You shouldn't build anything unless you have a very clear path to distribution. I'm not talking marketing, I'm talking clear path to getting users because they're already self-organized or they're on an email newsletter or they're inside of another app. So what I would encourage you to do, if you're somebody that has a really cool idea for a feature, focus on that and then figure out how can I insert that into other technologies to make those technologies work better. A very simple one is that if you've got some sort of AI swing analysis tool, which everyone is building, but I just want to say it because it's a simple example. If you've got the best of the best, you might be able to find a community or an application that needs that and they're not ready or willing to build it or iterate on it, and you can license it. There's a lot of AI tech that you can spin up these days that can provide value to existing applications where the team is heads down on a 2 to 3 year roadmap, so they're never going to build it. So if you can make it incredibly easy for them to insert your tech, you update it, maintain it, and the business model makes sense, I think you're going to have a big winner on your hands versus trying to build out the app, find the distribution, build out a whole team, and create an entire company. So whether you decide to take that route of building a specific feature and licensing it, or you're building out the entire platform, I do want to recommend one book. Now, this is not a book that you would think about when it comes to building product or applications, but it's the foundational book that led me to building CoachNow and choosing these core functions that helped us stand out from the crowd and not only grow, but more importantly, retain our coach customer base. And that is a book called The Talent Code. It's what blew my brain open 15 years ago. It's what blew my brain open, realizing, crap, I cannot deliver the level of coaching that I want if I don't have technology. The reason being is Daniel Coyle talks about skill development. He called it talent, but I'm going to call it skill development. And the way that you do that is you need ignition, so essentially motivation, excitement, ignition. You need deep practice, and you need expert coaching. When someone is receiving coaching from a good coach, mind you, they have all of that in one session. They have the ignition, they're fired up, they're excited. They have the deep practice because the coach is hammering them how to do all of it. And of course, they have the expert coaching, it's all there. But how do you bridge that gap? That was the problem I was struggling with, which led me to building the platform. As you're designing your feature set, think about that. How are people actually getting better? Don't just throw features in there. Think about workflows. How are you going to keep them excited? How are you going to provide them opportunities to use your application for deep practice? And how are you going to provide expert coaching? Are you going to connect them to real coaches? Are you going to try to do some AI coaching? Are you trying to do just a giant content play? What I can tell you is that all of those can work, but they're not that sticky unless you design them really, really well from a product and a UI UX design standpoint. The Talent Code, incredible book. Can't recommend it highly enough. As we wrap up, let's do a quick recap so we can round this out with a little bow on it. If you're building in golf performance tech, do your best to insert yourself into an existing but broken workflow. Number 2, invest heavily in thought leadership, creating content in and around your application because you cannot rely on folks logging in. That is not enough for them to get value and be reminded that they even downloaded your thing in the first place. And number 3, simplify your application. Cut. Make it as easy as possible and as fast as possible for someone to get value in your application. You can then stack on more features down the road or at least hide them behind screens so that people discover them through a workflow rather than just being hammered with a bunch of stuff. And the bonus being, it's okay to just build features instead of an entire company. Look at the ecosystem around you, see if you can provide value to people that already have a large audience, and that can and will be a massive business for you. With all that said, if you're building in the world of golf performance technology and you're looking for help, I've recently launched the beginning of a growth engine called scale.golf, link in the bio. It's a newsletter to start, but there's a whole lot more going on behind the scenes because I want to help each and every founder and founding team absolutely kill it and build the business of their dreams. So I'd encourage you to check out Scale Golf. You can join the newsletter for free and learn about everything that we're doing. You can also DM me or add comments below if you've got questions. We are here to help. My goal is to help you build your business better and faster than I did. So I hope you follow along, and we'll see you next time.